Testing 1, 2.
Even when even
Madam President, the time is 5:30 p.m.
Okay, good afternoon. It is the regular board meeting of the Adelanto Elementary School District. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Okay, so 1.002 call to order. The time is 5:30. 1.03 roll call and quorum establishment.
Trustee Soto,
Soto present.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus present.
Trustee Left French,
present.
Trustee Stewart,
Stewart present.
and I'll take note that Trustee Webster is not here.
She's on her way. She's just going to be a little late. Okay, going on to 1.04 Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, all right, and we have someone here.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Velma Beath. I have the pleasure of leading the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. So if everybody may rise and face the flag. And together, let's put our right hand across our heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 2, adoption of the agenda. 2.01, proposed additions, deletions, and adjustments in the order of business.
Madam President, we do not have any tonight.
Okay, thank you. 2.02, adoption of the agenda. Trustees, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Love French, I motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, I need a second.
Soto, all second.
Thank you. Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Soto, aye.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Left French,
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart,
Stewart, aye.
and I'll take note that Trustee Webster walked in at 5:33 p.m.
Trustee Webster, did you have a chance to go? You're good? Okay, all right. Okay, so we are going to go on. Oh, it passes 4-0. All right, going on to 3, staff reports and presentations. Dr. Walker.
Thank you, President Stewart. At this time, we have Dr. Dwyzon presenting our local control and accountability plan and federal addendum presentation for 2025-2026.
Do we have a clicker?
All right. Good evening to our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Walker, Cabinet, and staff, students, and the families of AESD. I am Dr. Dwyzon, Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, and next to me is our new Director of State and Federal Programs, Dr. Velma Beath. We are pleased to present our annual Local Control Accountability Plan update for the 25-26 school year. This slide is a quick representation of the alignment that should be taking place each year as we look to approve our LCAP and school plans for student achievement, or our SPSAs. You'll see on this slide that the LCAP is the top, and that should also be the anchor and filter down to the SPSAs through the required 6 goals that we require in our district that are present in each SPSA that you'll see later this evening. The Local Control Accountability Plan is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, activities, services, and expenses to support positive student outcomes in alignment with the 8 state and local priorities. The strategic plan defines and guides all work in the Adelanto Elementary School District. The LCAP aligns to the strategic plan, and it is required by the California Department of Education. The new 5-year strategic plan, our framework for the future, will align with the cycles of the district's LCAP to ensure that the district initiatives and work is focused and targeted with specific actions embedded throughout the LCAP. A requirement for completion of the LCAP is also educational partner feedback. Meetings were held throughout the year to obtain feedback and help to inform our LCAP goals and actions and next steps. Some of those platforms and forums included our DLAC, our District English Learner Advisory Council, our DPAC, our District Parent Advisory Council, our Guiding Coalition, and also our Superintendent Student Advisory Group. In addition, we held annual surveys such as our Local Control Accountability Plan annual survey and our Healthy Kids surveys that reach our students, parents, and our staff. School districts must develop a 3-year plan to explain their goals, strategies for improving achievement for all students. We are currently in year 2 of a 3-year cycle. The goals must address the 8 state priorities, and actions must address any areas of improvement identified on the California dashboard that comes out updated yearly. The district must develop a budget that matches spending to the goals outlined in this plan. The LCAP also has a federal addendum. This is required by the Every Student Succeeds Act and outlines how districts are using the federal funds, even though these are outlined in the LCAP. The LCAP addendum and local indicators, which are part of the dashboard, must be approved by July 1st each year. The funds detailed in the LCAP are specifically intended to support improving outcomes for students who are English learners, foster youth, and low income. I want to get to the meat of our LCAP at this time in our annual update. So we have 3 main goals of the LCAP. In the LCAP, you'll see that there are actually 12 goals. Goals 4 through 12 represent a goal for each of our equity multiplier schools. So each school for the equity multiplier must have a separate goal of their own in the LCAP. So this is a 2nd year of the 3-year plan, which means the goals primarily stay the same, but they can be updated based on our progress. So we look at those every year and we determine, have we made progress? Is an effective goal? Do we need to update that? Are we seeing that progress or growth? Can it stay the same, or do we need to switch and do something else? So this first goal says student achievement will increase in English language arts, math, science, social studies, and history, with the focus on closing the achievement gap for struggling students. So in front of you, this slide shows the actions that are listed under Goal 1. So you'll see there are 9 actions listed that we are continuing to work on as they are showing progress and achievement for students. So some of those include innovation. You also have English learner student achievement, library and media access, instructional leadership. Each of these, the new requirement of the LCAP is reviewing those measurements that you have stated will measure the impact of this particular goal, and if it's not showing growth or progress, it is required that we switch them. Goal 2 is our climate and culture. We will provide every student with the specific academic, behavioral, social, emotional, mental, and physical health supports to meet their individual needs, especially English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, homeless youth, African American students, and other student groups whose outcomes indicate the greatest need. This slide shows each of the actions that are listed under Goal 2, and you'll notice that there are 9 actions also listed under this goal. So under here, you will see a lot of supports, mental health, social emotional learning. 2.4 specifically focuses on attendance and engagement. So working to specifically target our chronic absenteeism to make sure that our students are getting to school. We also have music and art and foster youth services. We do have a higher foster youth population in our district. Goal 3 is our parent, family, and community engagement. Parent, families, and community stakeholders will be informed, engaged, and empowered as partners with the Adelanto Elementary School District to support student learning and improve our student outcomes. Under this particular goal, we do have 3 action items, all of which are meant to empower, engage, and work with our parents to bridge those gaps between school and home.
This slide shows the 8 state priorities that all school districts are required to address in their LCAP. These priorities come from the California Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, which was created to give districts more flexibility and accountability in how they use funds. The state priorities ensure that we focus not only on academic achievement, but also on areas like student engagement, school climate, and parent involvement. Each LCAP goal and actions aligns with one or more of these priorities to meet state requirements and improve outcomes for all students. You may notice that Priority 9 is not included among the 8, and that's because Priority 9 focuses on coordination of instruction for expelled students, and this applies only to the county offices of education, not to the TK-8 schools. This slide highlights key updates and improvements made to this year's LCAP. First, our framework for the future, including language around future ready and learner profile and student-centered practices, is now embedded throughout the document and will also be reflected in all school SPSAs. We've updated all metrics using the most recent data from the 2024 California dashboard with a focus on student groups and school-level results. 2 new schools, Westside Park and El Mirage, were identified as equity multiplier schools, bringing our total from 9 to 12 LCAP goals. For all equity multiplier schools, the implementation and effectiveness of the goals or actions were based on updated input from school interviews to ensure needs were accurately represented. We also added a specific English learner metric to goal number 1, reinforcing our commitment to equity and language development. That metric was the English Learner Progress Indicator, which comes from the California dashboard that monitors English language fluency progress from year to year. There is now a stronger alignment between the SPSAs and the LCAPs, making our efforts more coherent and strategic. Finally, we're proud to report that all schools exited CSI, Comprehensive Support and Improvement status, except for Adelanto Elementary, which continues to receive targeted support. This slide illustrates how multiple required planning documents come together to form our official LEA plan. So the LCAP, the Consolidated Application, otherwise known as the CONAP, and the LCAP Federal Addendum each serve a specific purpose. The LCAP outlines our goals, actions, and use of state funds tied to student outcomes. The CONAP is how we apply for and receive federal funding for titles such as 1, 2, 3, and 4, and more. The LCAP Federal Addendum, required by every Student Succeeds Act, otherwise known as ESSA, explains how we use federal funds to support student achievement, especially for historically underserved student groups. Together, these three components make up our district plan, which is a comprehensive document that shows how we are aligning both state and federal resources to support students and improve student outcomes across the district. This slide highlights the federal addendum, which is a required component under every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. It aligns directly with our Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, ensuring consistency between state and federal planning. The addendum details how we use all these funds, including Titles 1, 2, 3, and 4, to provide supplemental support for students who need it the most. This includes our students who are low income, English learners, students with disabilities, and foster and homeless youth. Essentially, this ensures that federal resources are targeted to close opportunity gaps and improve outcomes for our most vulnerable students. On this slide, you'll see a summary of each federal title program that we receive funds from, along with their primary purpose. For example, Title I focuses on providing additional support to help low-income students meet grade-level academic standards. Title II invests in professional development and improving the quality of teachers and school leaders. Title III is aimed at supporting English learners and immigrant students who achieve English proficiency and academic success. Title IV, providing funds for student support and academic achievement, including safe and healthy students and access to well-rounded education. Understanding each title's purpose helps to clarify how we strategically use these funds to support different student needs across the district. This slide highlights the key strategies and supports we plan to continue to launch in the upcoming year. For example, professional development and activities that have been reviewed and approved by parent committees, for example, DLAC. We will continue providing targeted academic interventions, such as small group instruction and additional after-school tutoring to support students who need it the most. Professional development will continue in ELA, math, English language development. They will remain a priority, including our partnership with CABE that we would like to create and participation in the next CABE conference. We will maintain and expand social emotional wellness and counseling support to promote student well-being. Family engagement efforts will include workshops aimed at strengthening parent involvement and support. Ensuring student access to technology, digital literacy resources, and academic enrichment opportunities will also continue to be a focus. So our next steps in the LCAP process is that we need to submit the LCAP to the county office for approval with final edits continuing up until August 15 deadline. Throughout the year, we will monitor the implementation of LCAP actions, services, and the budget, working closely with our fiscal services team to ensure alignment and accountability. We are committed to keeping our community and educational partners informed and engaged, providing opportunities for participation and feedback throughout the year.
That concludes our LCAP presentation. Thank you.
We can ask quick questions, right? Okay, board, do we have any quick questions?
Yes, I have a few. Starting with educational partner input, I know historically we've had trouble getting the participation in the DLAC, DPAC meetings. Do we have a plan coming up for the next year to increase that? And how are we going to go about this?
Thank you for that question. That continues to be a struggle. So what we have in plan for next year is actually doing a kind of a different approach. So what we want to do is actually take our team and go out to school sites out on the first days of school, after school, before school, and really reaching out to parents personally. We have iPads and other technology where we can just ask questions right then and there. So if we do that all year, we're going to have an ongoing record of what our parents' needs, what their wants are. That also includes pushing out at district events and different school events throughout the year. So we're trying a different approach coming up for this year.
Perfect. My next question is the federal titles in the addendum. I am kind of familiar with the Title 1, 2, 3, and 4. Could you take a moment and explain, are these distributed to each school site, or is it something that the district itself controls?
They are distributed to the school sites starting around October when the new budget is finalized, and they know how much money the district is getting depending on the unduplicated student personnel people. And yes, and that is what is evident in the SPSAs. They show in the SPSAs how they're using their Title I funds.
Perfect. I do want to thank your team for this LCAP. I know in the past we have struggled with detail, and looks phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Does any other trustee have questions?
I had a question, Madam President. First of all, thank you both for the presentation. Excellent presentation. I did want to focus on the SEI Alonto Elementary School District. That's the only school we know that is still in SEI. I know it was shared that we're continuing to support that school. I'm wondering what kind of support are we doing or going to continue to do, and what else are we doing to make sure that we can move from that?
Thank you. So we, part of what we're doing when we do this review yearly is look and see which of their strategies. So each strategy and each action, they have to have how are they going to measure that success within the LCAP? I mean, within their SIPs. I'm getting them both confused. So within there, we look at each strategy and we say, okay, you said that, let's take reading, for example, your scores were going to go up and because you're going to do A, B, and C. A, B, and C didn't yield you results. So what are we going to do differently? So based on that, we're able to look at and adjust goals. So for example, when we looked at their reading scores, we're able to see that they're going to need some additional supports. So we've met with, I'm thinking we met with iReady. They have a supplemental early literacy packet, for example. Not just a packet, but a supplemental kind of curriculum that goes along. It's not in addition to or substituting what they normally use, but it's a more targeted type of a system. We looked at his interventions. They have a pull out program there. And so we talk about how can we strengthen it? Is that the most effective way in which to reach the students who may need to fill some gaps? So we look at each and every single one and we determine what can we do to tweak it? What can we do to enhance it? Maybe we need to get rid of it altogether and try something else.
Awesome, thank you. And then one last question regarding Title V, I believe, the Safe Schools purpose, the federal titles in the addendum, and then also kind of connecting that with goal number 2, climate and culture. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that we're doing to kind of address the safety climate, keeping our students and our staff safe.
So Title V, Part B, is targeting low-income schools, and that is also, you will also see the connection to the LCAP goals. The LCAP goals that does address climate and culture, and so they're kind of interwoven. And so it just depends on how much money you're going to use towards a specific activity within the action or the strategy that you're using to meet that target.
In addition, so the titles have to be used specifically toward student achievement. So anything, safety can be personal safety. It can also be physiological safety, mental safety. And so these would be geared more toward that. If you're talking about physical safety, there's a difference. That would be more infrastructure funds, which are more general type funds. But these funds, as far as title, have to be used directly to support students.
Awesome, thank you.
Just real quick, can you define what CSI means?
Sure, that's comprehensive school improvement. So what that means is that for it's usually a period of time. It's typically more than 2 years or more that a school is not making significant progress, and that could be in any areas. There's a wide variety of areas. It could be student group, it could be the school itself, but within those areas, they're not making significant improvement or growth, and so that targets a school being in CSI.
Okay, and then it's good once they've made improvement, then they are no longer a CSI, and then they lose that little bit of funding.
They
I
do
know,
use
it's weird.
that. Yes, it's a catch-22. We did have 5 schools that actually dropped out of CSI in the last year.
Good. And one more thing, can you please define equity multiplier, and what does that do?
So the equity multiplier are additional funds that the state provides. It's usually depends. The criteria for that is a concentration of low-income students, and also if they identify schools that are under-resourced with a high percentage of English learners, usually over 55%, foster youth, as they also have unique challenges, and the equity multiplier schools is also looking at what the California dashboard indicators are identifying as students who are not meeting or exceeding the standards, but are instead in what's considered the red zone, which is the lowest performance level. And so if you're on that level, and you have 55% more of unduplicated students, and it's progressive, then you then get identified as a multiplier, equity multiplier school, because the whole purpose of the funds is to provide more equity and more resources to the students who need it the most.
All right, is there more?
I was going to say it also involves the number of transiency, so the number of students who may be moving from school to school. That also is a factor as well.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I just have 2 questions. Most of my questions were already answered, so thank you, because I didn't know what CSI was either. But can you tell me the 5 schools that came out of CSI?
I'm going to do my best to remember.
Okay.
Westside Park,
Okay,
Mesa Linda, Columbia,
okay,
West Creek, and I'm missing one.
okay.
I
That's
can't-
okay. I just wanted to know.
I
and
can definitely get you those schools.
And I
though.
thank you for that information, and I'm glad to hear that. I just have another question for Adelanto. When are there any trends that show? Are children going from grade to grade? Do we know those trends that are still behind, and how far behind from one grade to the next? Like, are there trends that show that they're catching up? What the trend was last year from this year, and whether or not, if it's our little ones that are coming in kinder or first, maybe maybe we could do like some collaborating with some of the preschools in order to help assist those schools of what we may be looking for before they get to us.
That's an excellent question and observation. Being able to, so one thing that is newer within the last few years is we did add a transitional kindergarten over there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and That teacher's excellent, by the way. And if you go in there, you'll see that a lot of those skills are being introduced earlier to our students. Transitional kinder, it also has to be developmentally appropriate. So we want to make sure that there's play and things embedded in there. But as you look at it as a whole, so there's a couple things. So you have the state testing, which is the overarching, and we typically don't get results of that until students are third grade and up. That's too late. So we look at local indicators, and so that local indicator, which would be our iReady, before that it was STAR testing, and so we would look and say, we're able to track each student individually. So each student individually, we can say, okay, this student's making growth, this student's making growth, this student's struggling. What are we going to do to intervene with that student? I do feel that partnerships with our preschools would definitely be helpful. That way there's that straight alignment. We did do a lot of work with our transitional kinders last year across our district, also to bridge some gaps. But that mechanism to track and see how students are doing is definitely there. And being able, I'd be happy to provide the data on that school specifically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
At this time, our next presentation is the annual information on progress towards meeting local indicators presentation.
Thank you. There's something on, one more time. Okay. Okay. Thank you. At this time, I will present information. This is an information only item. Local indicators are not required to have a approval, but it is required that we report this yearly. The State Board of Education approves standards for the local indicators that support local education agencies, or LEAs, in measuring and reporting their progress within the appropriate priority area. The local indicators reflect the emphasis on local control and measure the priorities that are more oriented to implementation measurement rather than that summative outcome. It allows the local community to understand the holistic picture of the LEA's progress. For each applicable local indicator, LEAs assign one of three performance levels: met, not met, or not met for 2 or more years. Indicators are related to the dashboard and must be reported annually. The dashboard is tied to the state assessments and the California accountability system. The LEA is required to annually measure progress, report the results of to its local school board at a regularly scheduled meeting annually, and also report the results to the public through the dashboard. So once this presentation is done, we do have to go on CDE and report the findings to CDE. This slide outlines the 8 LCFF, or local control funding formula priorities, and how they are measured. Some priorities, like pupil achievement and school climate, are measured using state indicators. So this is where the dashboard metrics like suspension, if we were a high school, it would also include grad rates. While others like basic services and parenting engagement are assessed using local indicators reported by our district. The blue highlighted areas show where the district met the standards met requirement for our local indicators. This framework ensures accountability across academic performance, engagement, and access to essential services. The next two slides just show a little more detail about each priority and a little bit about it, but the next two, you'll see that next to each one for this year, I'm happy to report that we have met all local indicators. So priority 1, basic conditions at school, met. Priority 2, implementation of state standards, met. Priority 3, parent engagement, met. Priority 6 is our local climate survey, and we met that. And then priority 7, access to a broad course of study, and we met that. And that concludes our local indicators.
Board, do you have any questions?
Thank you for that report.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on.
All right, our next presentation by Academic Services is Consolidated Application 2025-2026 presentation.
The Consolidated Application, referred to as the CONAP, is an annual requirement for California school districts, charter schools, and county offices of education. It's submitted to the California Department of Education that allows local educational agencies, or LEAs, to apply for funding from multiple federal programs through one streamlined process. The key federal programs included in the CONAP are as follows. Title I, Part A, which focuses on improving academic achievement for disadvantaged students. Title II, Part A, supporting effective instruction through professional development. Title III, which supports English learners and immigrant students through professional development programs and activities. And Title IV, Part A, funding student support services and academic enrichment opportunities. Title V, which is Part B, targets rural and low-income schools. There is a direct relationship between the CONAP and the LCAP federal addendum. While the CONAP is how we apply for and receive federal funds, the federal addendum outlines how we plan to use those funds to support student achievement, especially for historically underserved groups. Together, they ensure our federal resources are strategically aligned with our district goals. This slide outlines the important components of the consolidated application process. When submitting the CONAP, the local education agency provides assurances, which are promises that it will comply with the federal requirements, including proper use of funds according to program guidelines, effective program implementation, strong fiscal accountability, and adherence to civil rights laws, ensuring equity and non-discrimination. The application is typically submitted in 2 parts. Right now, we are in the spring submission, which is Part 1, and that includes requesting funding and the legal assurances. In the winter will be submission Part 2, which includes expenditure reports and data on program participation. Overall, the consolidated application is essential, not only for securing federal funds, but also as a compliance tool that demonstrates the district's commitment to federal education laws under the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. The following 2 slides provide examples from the Title III application, specifically the limited English and the immigrant programs. These funding sources are part of the federal Title III program and are designed to support English learners and eligible immigrant students by enhancing language acquisition, academic achievement, and integration. And I'd like to highlight and point out that this year we applied for the limited English proficient grant. Therefore, we are going to get an additional approximately $21,155. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board, do we have questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say congratulations for applying for us.
Thank you. I do want to shout out to Zach from Fiscal who helped with that application.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on.
The next item is 2025-2026 school plans for student achievement, presentation by academic services.
Keep forgetting to turn it on. In this presentation for our school plan for student achievement, you do have copies of all of those in front of you. But we are going to provide an overview and structure of the 25-26 school plans for student achievement, or the SPSA. We're going to provide an overview of how funds have been planned to improve academic performance of all students, and we're going to share the presentation schedule for the upcoming school year.
So once again, this slide shows the alignment between the LCAP and the SPSAs. The SPSAs each have 6 goals. The first 4 relate to academic instruction, and therefore they align to LCAP goal number 1, which is about student achievement. SPSA goal number 5, culture and climate, is also aligned to LCAP goal number 2 because it also relates to climate and culture, engagement, and attendance. SPSA goal number 6 is parent and community engagement, which is also well aligned to the LCAP goal 3, which refers to parent, family, and community engagement as well. The SPSA is a strategic plan, and SPSA being the school plan for student achievement, and it guides how each school site maximizes its available resources to support student achievement. It's designed to reduce the duplication of efforts and ensure that all efforts are coordinated between towards moving and improving student outcomes for students. The plan is not developed in isolation. It aligns or connects to the district's larger local control and accountability plan, which is the LCAP, and that sets the goals for all students across the district. Schools use the SPSA to make schools use the SPSA to make sure their efforts are aligned to those bigger goals. Finally, any special funding a school receives, for example, support for English learners or low-income students, gets built into this plan so that everything works together to improve student achievement. The purpose of the SPSA is to support the cycle of continuous improvement, meaning schools are always reviewing data, making adjustments, and working towards better outcomes for students. The plan aims to raise academic performance for all students so they can meet or exceed the state's academic standards. It's also about making sure every student has the support they need to be successful, not just overall, but according to the standards set by the State Board of Education. And just like the previous slide mentioned, the SPSA must bring together all the different programs and resources a school uses so they work in a coordinated way to support student success. This slide outlines how our school plans for student achievement are aligned with district-wide goals and priorities. Our school plans are strategically aligned to the district's local control and accountability LCAP, and that reflects the beginning stages of alignment with our new strategic plan, Framework for the Future, which focuses on creating student-centered classrooms and preparing future-ready students. Each plan supports the Adelanto Elementary School District's goals for improving academic outcomes using reliable state data like we see in the California School Dashboard. Goals and actions are set and prioritized based on data and ongoing progress monitoring, so we can continuously evaluate what's working and adjust where needed. The development of each school plan included the input, review, and approval of educational partners, ensuring shared ownership of the process. The plan also detailed how funds, including the equity multiplier funds, which are state funds, will be used to support all students academically. This year, I worked collaboratively with principals, providing guidance, resources, and support as they engaged with their school communities to revise and strengthen their plans. This included data analysis and reviewing the implementation and impact of key strategies towards meeting the SPSA goals. Each principal provided updates on whether strategies were implemented as intended and how effective those strategies were based on progress towards the goals. To evaluate the effectiveness, we used a simple rating scale, 3 for effective, 2 for somewhat effective, and 1 for not effective, along with multiple data sources such as formative assessments or qualitative feedback to guide their analysis. This evaluation process is crucial because it helps to determine the next steps, such as adjusting strategies or refining goals, to ensure that we continue to move in the right direction. This information was shared with educational partners to support transparency and shared decision-making as we continue to improve student outcomes across the district. Next is an outline of the structure for the school site plan for student achievement, which is organized into 5 key sections. Section 1 includes a description of the plan, how educational partners were involved, a review of any resource inequities, and a comprehensive needs assessment used to guide the planning. Section 2 focuses on school and performance data, including enrollment, CASP, LPAC, and the California School Dashboard. Each data set is followed by a concluding statement summarizing the key takeaways. Section 3 presents the school goals, the strategies, and their proposed expenditures. This year, each SPSA includes 6 goals. Number one, English language arts, mathematics, special education, English learners, chronic absenteeism and suspension, parent and family engagement. Section 4 contains the budget summary. It has a breakdown of the budgeted funds and planned expenditures, which are tied directly to the strategies. Section 5 includes the school site council membership, along with the recommendations and required assurances, affirming that the plan was developed in accordance with the state and federal requirements. Next, Dr. Doizan will continue with the presentation.
So we do have high expectations for our schools as it relates to the SPSA. One additional implementation that we had this year was that each school administrator and the co-administrator had to meet with our team 3 times this year. In that meeting, it was me on each and every single meeting, but not just me, but our entire Ed Services team. So in that meeting, we were able to review each data set as it related to their goals. Where were they going to go? In addition, each principal also met with their teachers, and teachers, the next level of that is teachers working on goal setting with their students. So we are excited about that addition, and we will continue with that piece to gather that data all year long. This slide outlines the funding sources used to support each school's SPSA. These include LCFF, Supplemental Concentration Funds, Title I, Equity Multiplier Funds, and Comprehensive School Improvement, or CSI funds. The central question posed: how will funds be used to improve the academic performance of our students? That is the essential question that each administrator, each school, each educational partner is posed with as we are developing this SPSA. It emphasizes our focus on equity and outcomes, and each funding stream is strategically aligned to increase student achievement and close our learning gaps. The last slide shows our schedule for the fall, in which schools in the first part of the year will be coming before the board and presenting their SPSA in more detail. I would like to do that, but they can do it best. And so you'll be able to hear from each school and their progress and where they're at and where they're going. So with that, that concludes our presentation for the SPSAs.
Okay, thank you. Board, do we have questions?
I don't have questions, but I felt like you could be reading my mind because I said that I have this big, huge book down here that I've already put on the floor. And I said that I could remember when the principals would come and they would explain what their plan was and how they were going to go about it, what they were going to implement. And I was like, last year we got a little thumb drive where you could just put it in your laptop and you could sit there and scroll through it. Now this book that we've killed, I don't know how many trees in order to print, but I was excited to hear that they will still come before us, so we're able to see it in I call it like lifetime. Thank you, much appreciated.
Okay, and in any of the other trustee? Okay, I just have one. So as we look at the schedule, the schools don't wait till after they present to start to implement their plans, right?
Absolutely not. So your approval this evening actually allows them from the first day of school to begin that plan.
All right, thank you.
At this time, thank you, Academic Services, for your presentations. Next, we have Learner-Centered Collaborative Partnership Overview Presentation, and they are joining us via Zoom.
Asking to unmute.
Awesome. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, President Stewart, Board of Trustees, Dr. Walker, Cabinet, staff, and families. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your very busy agenda to hear a little bit more about our partnership for next year. If you could advance to the next slide. My name is Katina Hancock, and I've had the privilege of working with Adelanto this last school year. I'm joining you from San Diego, California, where I have been focusing on some very special family times where both of my kids have graduated from college 2 days apart. My son was married, commissioned into the National Guard, and also joined the police academy. So we have been very busy here, and it's part of the reason I wasn't able to make it up there in person. I have had the privilege of doing this work across the country with a variety of different partnerships spanning from urban, rural, suburban, K-12, charter. And I also was able to do this work in my own system in Vista, California, which is in San Diego County. I was part of the transformation process there, where we started with the framework for the future, and then was the proud principal at the Vista Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, where over the course of approximately 4 years, we were actually able to earn one of the state's highest distinctions, where we became a gold ribbon school, Title I high academic achievement, and excellence in the arts. And in that time, we were only one of 2 schools. So I share that only because I've lived this process, and I know how valuable it can be in a community to really excite folks around a common vision. If you could go to the next slide, please. What I think really sets Learner-Centered Collaborative apart, and why I joined and have stayed now for just shy of 8 years, is that we really believe that the work that we do in systems is community driven. We want a very diverse set of experiences, backgrounds, beliefs to come together and define what they think is possible in their system. We also believe that we need to focus on what is working and elevate that within the system, and then identify additional opportunities to further build momentum. We also think, and I loved hearing kudos to you all about the schools dropping out of CSI. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think having those local indicators and being able to celebrate the progress that they're making is huge. So we love this idea of measuring what matters. We know that academic achievement is important, but we also believe that we need to know how our students and families are feeling, what their sense of belonging is, how connected are they to what's happening in the district. We believe that this is deep work that takes multiple years to accomplish. It's not just something where we've created a plan and therefore it's just going to come to life on its own. In just a second, I'll share a little bit more about a few of our partners we've worked with, but implementation is more like a marathon. And the Thrive 2030 is a good indication that we know this process is something that's going to take multiple years to work through. We also believe in co-design. We have a lot of research-based practices, resources, and tools that we leverage in the work that we do to support the groups that are out in the field. But we also know that the conditions change and evolve, personnel shifts and adjusts. And so we want to make sure that we are constantly communicating and collaborating with not only Dr. Walker, but the cabinet, the site principals, to make sure that any services or outcomes that we've designed continue to be effective and that we're monitoring those over time. And then one of the things I love the most is that we believe that students need to have a voice and a space and an opportunity to constantly engage in the innovation space that's happening in the district. And if you were able to see some of the kids in the video about the framework for the future and just their appreciation for having a seat at the table and their excitement, I can't tell you how many kids asked Dr. Walker if the Guiding Coalition could continue because they felt so strongly that it was a special place for them to be part of the process. Next slide, please. This is just a sampling of some of the partnerships that we have, both district and state level. And many of these that I've kind of like called out have been part of our partnership network for a number of years. So I've had the pleasure of working in Lamont Elementary School District, which is not that far from you all. They started this process approximately 4 years ago, and we're embarking on our 4th year of support with them. This year, it looks like principal professional development, where we're doing learning cycles, instructional learning cycles connected to their learning model. We're also doing some PBL work and Guiding Coalition. In Santa Ana, a very large K-12 district up in the LA-ish area. They've been working with us for 5 years, starting with a framework, also doing leadership and educator capacity building. They also have continuation high schools, so we've done a little bit of redesign work with those continuation high schools. Escondido Union School District in San Diego County, same process. We're entering our 4th year, and they're one of our partner districts that's actually doing school redesign and cohorts. So they'll be starting their 3rd cohort of approximately 4-ish schools that have been doing the redesign process, which is one of the recommendations that we've proposed for next year. And then finally, Alamogordo is just an example of a system that is like Adelanto, where the framework process was just created and wrapped up in the spring of this last school year. And they're going to be kicking off their first wave of kind of bringing the framework to life. Next slide, please. So last year, and you just had this presentation not that long ago, but we defined some success criteria, kind of a theory of change, where we believe that if we brought the community together and we got really clear about the mission, vision, values, crafted the whole child outcomes, and then what the instructional model would be, that we would have this really great framework that would allow us to know what we were doing and set our course for the next 3 to 5 years. We also said that if we identify strategic priorities and made sure that they're aligned to the local control accountability plan and to the SPSAs and the things that Dr. Dwyzon just mentioned, that we knew that we could start to create the enabling conditions to move toward a more learner-centered vision. And finally, this now beautiful publication that you have is a way to communicate more broadly the work that's happening in the system and actually allow some flexibility, but within the kind of confines of what we believe are the most important parts that are going to bring Adelanto to be a learner-centered community. Next slide. I included just a little bit of data. At the end of our sessions, we really do believe that we try to design and deliver experiences that are learner-centered, no matter who we're working with. And we ask these 4 questions to make sure that we're soliciting feedback and can design and deliver the best possible services and supports. We also debrief with Dr. Walker and the cabinet to make sure that they're not receiving any additional feedback. And as you can see, the work with the Guiding Coalition was very, very successful by all counts. And I especially love how high the results are for the question around feeling meaningfully included in today's activities. So throughout the process, folks really felt them, they saw themselves in the work, they feel like their voice mattered, and that they were going to be leaving their kind of fingerprints on what was being created. Next slide. And what you approved a couple weeks back was your framework for the future. And it includes what we consider 3 critical elements. Obviously, mission, vision, and values are in there, but what we've crafted is the learner profile, which are the whole child outcomes. the learning model, which defines the types of experiences we hope educators are creating in their classrooms and within the community. And then finally, the strategic priorities that align very well with the LCAP. Next slide. So this next year, what we're proposing is that we have a variety of different work streams that are really going to allow us to start to initiate some moves that will start creating these conditions for success. So just draft it again, and will be something that the Guiding Coalition will help refresh and make sure that this is the right theory of change. But what we'd like to do is engage folks with really bringing the portrait to life. We have proposed designing learning progressions. And what that means is we know that kids developmentally learn at different rates and paces. And so we want to define what an empowered learner is, both at kindergarten and at 8th grade, so that when they have the opportunity to set goals or reflect, or we're asking educators to give feedback, we've defined what it looks like to be that type of learner in the system. Another approach that we're recommending is to do a school redesign process with Mesa Linda, so that the school community can really get anchored in the elements of the framework, create a shared vision for their school and some actionable strategies to create meaningful change. We believe that it's important for leaders to get out of their space, what they're normally immersed in day to day, and get connected to other innovative places, not only to see practices that are being effective with kids and teachers and systems, but also to see the world of work. So we're proposing what we call a connections cohort. And in that, it's an opportunity twice a year to see some innovative school models, as well as industry partners, and really think about how the whole child outcomes that we're asking kids to develop in Adelanto trend up into the world of work and what industry is asking systems to start designing toward. And then finally, we want to also build educator capacity. So one of the recommendations is that we do a summer PBL, project-based learning workshops, so that we can start to leverage the learning model and allow them to create some really meaningful learning experiences that they can kick off the school year with. So what that translates to on the next slide is the proposed work streams. So as requested by the Guiding Coalition this year, they would love to convene again. So we've recommended 4 days together where we can think about creating an impact survey, really deepen understanding of the portrait, identify some big moves that we think the system needs, plan communications, test strategies. And I believe when I look at your strategic priorities, it aligns really well with cultivating strong community partnerships. As I mentioned, creating learner progressions. So again, what does it look like to be a change maker as a 3rd grader versus a 5th grader versus a 7th grader? So really delineating those and allowing educators to have access, not only for when they design, but when they're asking kids to set goals and reflect. And that aligns really well to outcome 4, which is to encourage well-being and increase belongingness. And then on the next slide, this is the summer PBL. Dr. Dwizan has supported with getting a survey out to educators. And at the cutoff point, which I think was Friday, we had 66 educators that expressed interest in attending this 3-day workshop that allows them to not only understand the elements of PBL, but understand them in relation to the learner profile and the learning model, so that we're taking them deeper into those elements, and they're going to walk away with a project-based learning experience that they can kick off the school year with. Kind of map that back to expand student-centered experiences, and then redefine educator professional learning. And what they will experience is part of what your learning model is, so that they're going to have choice. It'll be personalized. We'll do some competency-based assessments with them to gauge where people are at in their understanding of project-based learning. So again, just trying to model for educators what we hope they're creating in their classroom. And then I think there's 2 more slides. This next one is the school redesign for Mesa Linda. And This is similar to the work that I mentioned that was happening in Escondido Union, but it's an opportunity for this school community, both educators, students, families, and then district representation to really think about what could be possible in this setting for students to thrive. And so there's a variety of different touch points that happen, including an inspiration visit, where we'd love to take a team out and get them exposed to other schools that kind of have the same demographics. We know that their kids look the same, kind of act the same, but they're doing some really innovative things because the program was designed with those outcomes in mind. So connecting this to cultivate strong community partnerships and then expand student-centered experiences. And then the last slide is about the networks that I mentioned. So Dr. Walker and several other leaders would have the opportunity to connect with other innovative schools in our system that have been in this work. We have two different touch points where we get to go visit innovative schools, see models that have been in practice for a number of years, and then an industry visit. So we've gone to places like Apple, we've gone to Dell, there's can't remember what the last one was, but I'll send that follow-up. I think I know who the schedule is, but I have one of my colleagues runs that. I'll try to send who the industry partners are for this. And then the final one is just this idea about really measuring impact. How do we set some goals for the 25-26 school year and identify what the formative touch points are that we can actually evaluate regularly through the guiding coalition and say that we are having the intended progress and going to meet the outcomes that we've designated. And it would culminate with an annual impact report where we could show across these different work streams and touch points the impact that it's having on your community. And that is a quick overview of the proposed ideas that support the Framework for the Future implementation year 1.
Okay, thank you, trustees. Do you have any questions? No, it looks like we have none. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for giving me the space. You all have a great night.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move forward with business services and fiscal services presentation for the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget with Ms. Gonzalez, and we also have our fiscal Zach. I can never remember Zach's last name. Clemish. Thank you.
Okay. I want to make sure it works.
All right. Good evening, President Stewart, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Walker, Cabinet, and community members. Tonight, we will provide a summary of our 25-26 adopted budget. In tonight's presentation, we will focus on the following topics: the Governor's May Revise, our key assumptions used from the May Revise, our projections for 25-26. We will review the summary of unrestricted general fund expenditures, our restricted general fund expenditures, along with our multi-year projections for 26-27, and 27-28, and looking forward to our upcoming key dates. On May 14th, the Governor Gavin Newsom released his 25-26 May revision to his January proposed budget. The budget has significant financial and economic uncertainty. The budget had significant emphasis on federal policy and its impact on California trade, tourism, and immigration. His May revise projects both lower state revenues and increased costs for healthcare in the current year and the year out. The governor was tasked with addressing a large budget deficit by using a combination of reductions to general fund programs, such as using monies from the rainy day fund, using budget deferrals, as well as holding expenditures that would be activated if revenues met their projections. A number of the key factors in the May revise is lowered state revenues projected by $4.8 billion over 3 years from the state's big three sources: income tax, corporate tax, and sales tax. The state's job growth is weaker and projected to have a slow growth to be continued through 2028. Inflation is higher along with higher tariff rates than the governor's proposed budget in January. Ultimately, the May revision projects below trend growth, rising unemployment, and assumes a growth recession. When preparing our adopted budget, we used the following key assumptions for our LCFF calculator. In 25-26, we used a COLA of 2.3%. In 26-27, we used 3.02. In 27-28, we used 3.42. The COLA for the out years is lower than the governor's projected budget from January, but reflects the growth recession noted in the May revise. For our district enrollment, we used conservative increase for the current year and flat 2 subsequent years. We will be taking a very active approach in increasing attendance for 25-26 and the 2 subsequent years. We will be offering attendance incentives at the sites, along with offering before school, after school, Saturday school, and intersession for attendance recovery. We have updated both unrestricted and restricted general fund revenues and expenditures based on projected numbers. Key items to note on our revenue projections are lower in local control funding, also known as our LCFF, due to our ADA in 24-25 at P2 certified lower than projected, decreases in COLA for the current year and the out years based on the May revise, along with changes in federal revenues due to updated funding apportionments. Additionally, we have also updated expenditures to align with our projections. When examining the total salaries as a percentage of the unrestricted budget, we invest over 90% of our budget in our educators and staff. Despite reduced revenues, our leadership team is taking a proactive approach, implementing cost-saving strategies and aligning expenditures with strategic goals to enhance the student experience and drive improve student outcomes. We maintain a positive ending fund balance for the current year and the next 2 fiscal years, largely reflecting the required 3% reserve. In reviewing our multi-year projections, which combine both our unrestricted and restricted funds, we have focused on aligning our investments in students while maximizing our budget and maintaining fiscal solvency. Although we are still deficit spending, we are continuously working on ways to balance our expenses to meet our future needs. Looking forward, our fiscal team is closing the 24-25 fiscal year and preparing the unaudited actuals for our audit review. In December, we will submit the first interim report reflecting updates to the budget and revised beginning balances. We look forward to partnering with educational services on the LCAP development and will continue to monitor economic trends to inform future budget adjustments. Thank you, Board of Trustees, and to our fiscal team, especially to Zach, on all of our fantastic work meetings and their contributions to our adopted budget. We also have provided you a budget at a glance for key information. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, Board, quick questions. Okay, we'll start with Trustee Kraus.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. And thank you, Ms. Gonzalez and Mr. Clemish, for your presentation on the budget this evening. One of the things that I don't have the information in front of me, but you might be familiar with the Ed Code that we have to spend at least 60% of our budget on certificated salaries. Do we know for this current year how we're looking as far as closing the books on that? Are we close to that threshold? Or I know you may not have the exact numbers, but do you have an idea maybe where we're landing on that?
We actually do meet that.
We do meet that one?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. The next question I have, the enrollment, it talks about the enrollment projections in here, and we know that we've got all those homes going in behind West Creek. When is the last time we've done an enrollment projection with like a study, and do you know if we're going to be doing one anytime soon to try to capture if there's going to be an increase in the future of students on that?
Actually, it's a very good question, Trustee Kraus. I believe the last time that we had done one was in 2022, and that is something that I've already been working with Cabinet in beginning those discussions to see what we can do to look at that, especially as we do some long-term planning.
Great, and then my last question, we know
Sorry,
that.
can I just add to that?
Yes,
just to
sorry,
make sure?
Superintendent.
No, so I've also met with the city manager of Victorville to talk about the new housing that's being built by West Creek. And so we are super excited about the potential of the families coming in. So we have started that conversation along with the city manager.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you for that information. And then my last question. We know that the governor won't sign the budget till probably July 1st. And the legislature has to pass it or they won't get paid.
Right.
So do we anticipate potentially any 45-day revisions for our district based on anything that might come into play there, or you're not sure yet?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that just yet. I do know that there is going to be a summary in regards to when the budget is actually approved, and then we would be looking at those differences if there was any.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have this evening. Thank you, Madam President.
Trustee Soto?
Thank you, Madam President. Would you mind just sharing with the public the 12 million transfer that we often hear from the public, that goes from unrestricted to restricted? Would you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about why that's being done?
I believe you're referring to the $20 million transfer, and that happens to go to our unrestricted account for our SPED services. So as you know, as a district, we are mandated to provide SPED services, and like most districts, all of the services that we have to provide to our students, the monies in which we receive from the state don't truly support the entire program. Therefore, as a district, you have to make contributions from your general fund to that account, so this way you're meeting all of your obligations.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Another question that I had was, let's see here. We noticed the unassigned available money throughout the years. We go from approximately 380 from 463 to all the way to actually in the millions. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the assumptions being made with the big jump?
Certainly. So as you know, actually it's within your packet there when we talk about what are the components of our ending fund balance. So some of the pieces that we look at are audit assignments that we have in there, right? So one of the audit assignments is $825,000 from 22-23, and then of course that's carried out for 3 years. So one of the other pieces that you will see, and it's reflected in those balances and why it changes, has to do with the 23-24 audit finding that we had in our unduplicated count, which is over $2.3 million. So right now we are currently in appeal for that. However, we do have to reflect that within our budgets.
Would you mind, you said appeal, would you mind adding a little bit more context? I'm not sure what that means.
So any district, whenever you have an audit finding that significantly impacts your district, you have the availability to actually appeal to the state board in regards to that audit finding, but you have to show that you've made significant improvements to try to offset it, so this way you don't have a duplicate finding. So that particular finding was a duplicate finding from 22-23 and then reflecting in 23-24.
Excellent, thank you. Two
You're
more
welcome.
questions and
Sure.
I'll leave you alone. The books and supplies.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about why it's being increased every year by 25%? What's kind of driving this increase?
So, as you remember from Dr. Dwyzon's presentation, most of our general fund has the umbrella of LCAP that's within there. So, when we see some of those increases, it's really due to the site allocations that we've provided and what their plans are as far as to support our students.
Okay, last question. Thank you for that. And the services and the operating expenditures, we've decreased by over 30%. I'm wondering if specifics, programs or services that you can recall. If not, it's okay. But I'm wondering what's the rationale for that.
So I wouldn't be able right now to tell you all the specific programs, but when we work with our departments and our sites at what their budgets are, they're truly driving the supports and services. So maybe if there is something that they're going to invest, say more in materials versus say a tutor, right? That's where you would see a change in that balance in that budget line. So it's reassessing each of those pieces, and then if there isn't additional funding available, as we know that some of our CSI funds have gone away, so maybe there would be like a reduction in those.
Thank you for your presentation and your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions? Yes.
I don't really have any questions, but I do want to say that I've learned a lot from you, and I am thankful for this at a glance. This dollar down here means a lot to me because it gives me a visual of an understanding. I also want to say thank you for supporting in the audits, you and your team from 2022, and the conversations that we've had about that. I thank you for having patience and understanding. I don't do well with numbers at all. However, I do know my own little budget for my own little check and my mortgage, but I appreciate your help, and I thank you for this, and thank you, Zach, as well. Thank you to your team and you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say thank you for the hard work. I know with the state, and we're just waiting for them, and then you have to go and on the dime start to do stuff once the government does their thing. I appreciate your efforts and your hard work.
I couldn't have done it without the support, obviously, of our team. I mean, there's been plenty of nights and days where, like, we're coming together and trying to provide options, discussions with cabinet, the support that I receive. So I do appreciate all that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are moving on to 4 closed session declarations. We will be taking items 4.02 to 4.04 into closed session. 5 public testimony before closed session. 5.001. Trustee LaFrench.
Thank you. The public comment period is administered by state law and is the point in the meeting set aside for members of the public to share their opinions with the board. Open meeting laws do not permit the board to engage in dialogue or answer questions. Any person who wishes to address the governing board on closed session agenda items only must complete and submit an AESD speaker request form 5 minutes before the meeting is called to order. Public comments will only be taken on agenda items during the discussion of those items. The board values public comments, and although the Board of Trustees cannot take action or discuss items not on the agenda, the Board of Trustees listens carefully and appreciates input from the public. Additionally, a public speaker can be cut off for exceeding the allotted time or for willfully causing an actual disruption to the meeting. Before cutting a person off or removing someone, the board will give at least one clear warning. If you were cut off or warned last time, please consider that your warning. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each closed session agenda item. The board limits the time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add.
Thank you. 5.02, do we have a representative from AADTA?
The board calls on Ms. Jolly.
Good afternoon, good evening, Board of Trustees and Cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Just a question about the budget at a glance. Trustee Kraus asked about 60% educator salaries, and at a glance it says it's 46%. So where is the other 14% going to the certificated staff? Question. Just brought to my attention. So, as I reviewed the agenda this meeting and reflected on recent district actions, I feel it is necessary to speak candidly and directly about serious concerns related to transparency, fiscal responsibility, financial stewardship, and leadership within our district. First, I must ask again, where is the legal request for proposals? This matter has been discussed publicly and should already be reflected in the board's actions. The continued absence of the RFP process is troubling and suggests a lack of follow-through on items that involve public accountability. This is not a minor oversight. It is a procedural breakdown that erodes trust. We've also heard repeated statements that the cabinet is looking under every rock to find the money necessary to resolve employee contracts. And yet, at nearly every board meeting, we continue to see substantial spending on outside contracts, consultants, and administrative initiatives. The inconsistency between what is being said and what is being done is glaring. These decisions send the message that fiscal restraint applies only to our educators and support staff, but not to outside vendors or internal administration. The public has a right to know about this past weekend's board and cabinet conference that was approved for 22 attendees. Why 22? Why not 10? What rationale justifies such a large expenditure for a conference when we are telling teachers and classified staff there's no money to fairly compensate their work or provide a modest cost of living increase and fully paid HMO? This is yet another example of wasteful spending at a time when we are telling our educators and staff to do more for less. This is not about cutting enrichment or professional growth. This is about practicing what we preach when it comes to prioritizing limited resources. Let us also revisit the proposed hiring of another district's employee to manage ELAP funds. I was alarmed to see a proposal to hire another person at the district office to manage ELAP funds, despite the fact that Mr. Hernandez was hired to fulfill this very role. Why are we duplicating responsibilities and expanding administrative overhead when program dollars are already stretched in? And I just learned about the hiring and welcome Dr. Velma Veith, another add to our management. And then there is the allocation of $258,725 in ELAP funds to the Guiding Coalition, instead of investing in the very educators and staff already on the ground, running Beyond the Bell programs. Offering those staff hourly rates instead of their per diem rate is not just inequitable, it's disrespectful. Let's remember, the Expanded Learning Opportunities, ELAP, was designed to support extended learning through enriching student-focused activities. Our certificated and classified staff have the knowledge, the training, and the relationships with our students to run these programs. and they are willing to do so. The only barrier is fair compensation. To that end, I want to revisit the broader issue of outsourcing. In July 2024, this board approved $384,400 in ELOP funds to Millionaire Mind Clubs. That figure is now projected to rise to $525,600 for the 25-26 school year, and similar sums have gone to AYA, except higher. While I recognize that these programs aim to serve students, we must critically assess how such large ongoing contracts align with our financial realities and whether they serve our students more effectively than in-house staff-led programs. Here is a proposal I believe is both reasonable and sustainable. Either scale back or eliminate the external contracts with MMK and AYA and redirect those ELOP funds to compensate certificated and classified staff at their per diem rates for running beyond the bell and enrichment programs. There are tons, there's a list long that our educators have been doing for beyond the bell. Or if these programs remain, require that district staff are directly involved in implementation, ensuring that ELOP dollars are funneled back into our schools and not just outside our doors. This approach would, first, honor the skills and dedication of our current employees, increase morale and participation in the enrichment programs, ensure financial sustainability of Beyond the Bell and other student services, and mostly importantly, keep the dollars aligned with the student outcomes and our district values. Finally, we will be bringing in outside consultants to revamp Mesa Linda, is what I heard with the Guiding Coalition. Mesa Linda Middle School, instead of investing in training and leadership development for the current principal and staff, why do we continue to look outward when we have capable, committed people within our district? We need to stop the pattern of top-heavy spending and start leading with integrity, responsibility, and respect for those who are doing the work every single day. It is time to prioritize our staff, our students, our families, and our community, not consultants, conferences, and unnecessary new positions. In the midst of all this, we also see that cabinet compensation now is close or exceeds $1 million. In light of this, it is unacceptable to ask teachers and classified staff to accept less and to work more, or to continue without recognition through fair and competitive compensation. These choices reflect a set of priorities that are out of alignment with the core mission of education, to serve students by supporting the people who work with them and are on the front lines every single day. These lapses in transparency and consistency speak to a deeper issue of leadership. It is with measured judgment and full awareness of the weight of this statement that I say, I believe it is time for a vote of no confidence in our board president. Her ongoing unwillingness to listen to public voices and even follow board members reflects a clear breakdown in shared governance and collaboration. Leadership must reflect collective wisdom, not individual control. A board president must unify, not divide. We need leaders who are responsive, transparent, and focused on long-term success of this district, not short-term optics or unchecked authority. I urge this board to take a hard look at the direction we are heading and to realign with the values of transparency, responsibility, and respect for our workforce, and act with greater accountability, transparency, and fiscal discipline. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from CSEA?
The board calls on Jason Turkhurst.
All right. Good evening, President Stewart, board members, Superintendent Dr. Walker, cabinet members, staff, and community members. My name is Jason Turkhurst, and I am the CSEA classified employee, the CSEA representative assigned to work with Adelanto Chapter 451. Again, I'm here tonight to let you know about some concerns that CSEA and the classified employees we represent are having. Classified and certificated employees are about to be severely impacted by the increases to the health and welfare costs because of the lack of real proposals by the district to address the rising costs. I want to say to you again tonight that as board members, negotiations begins and ends with you. At this point, both CSEA and the district have agreed that we believe negotiations is at impasse, and we will be asking the Public Employment Relations Board if they agree. However, I want to say that the district can only negotiate what the board members authorize them to negotiate, and the district is required to stay within those parameters that you, as the board members, give them. According to what we received in negotiations, the parameters have been set do not come close to dealing with the increasing health and welfare costs for classified or certificated staff. I am here again tonight to ask you to please direct the district to negotiate an increase to the health and welfare monthly cap that will result in employees not having to pay more out of pocket than they had to pay this year. Classified employees would love it if you as board members would direct the district to negotiate increasing the monthly cap so there were no out-of-pocket costs at all, because there are several other school districts in the high desert that do that for their employees, but we can start with not having to pay more than they paid this year. Because beginning next month, classified employees will begin seeing costs of the health and welfare dramatically increase, and therefore the amount of money they take home will dramatically decrease. As board members, you have the authority and power to stop this from happening. If you as the board members tell the district to prioritize its employees, because without the employees you cannot take care of the students, as board members, you have that authority to make that directive. I know there will be those that will tell you there's no money. We just heard some of that. If they say that there is no money, let's look at the budget proposal you were provided tonight. Because in my review of it, there appears to be money. I appreciate some of the questions that were asked, and I actually want to direct one of my first topics that I was going to discuss, and that's the $20 million transfer that was asked about. I understand there needs to be a transfer because restricted money received from the state doesn't cover the full cost. But we know the size of this district. The size of this district needs a $20 million transfer. How is it then that Victor Elementary School District, that has a budget twice the size of this district, only transfers $20 million as well? Let's ask that question. Is $20 million what's needed? I don't think so. If that money was not transferred, the outlooks for restricted and unrestricted would look very different. I could stand up here all night picking apart the budget and the assumptions. I want to emphasize that, the assumptions that were made. The fact that we believe revenues are being underestimated and that expenditures are being overestimated, the fact that the district is estimating that it will spend $1.5 million more on books and supplies next year than it has in the last 2 or 3 years. There are a lot of assumptions that can and have been made to make it look like there is no money. Just 2 weeks ago, you guys received a budget. In that budget, if you look at it, both classified salaries, what the district spends on classified salaries, and certificated salaries was projected to go up by more than 6%. Just look, it's over there. The budget you received tonight, certificated is still projected to go up by 6%. Classified is projected to go up by less than 2%. Why is that? The amount the district's going to spend didn't change. The assumptions on what the district's going to spend this year did. The funny part about that is, it only changed after we asked about that specific item in negotiations and why it was being proposed to go up that amount. Didn't receive an answer. Said it was because of the step increases. step increases for classified employees, step increases for certificated employees isn't a 6% increase. Not even close. So I ask you again, please, as board members, make the decision and tell the district to do what is right and prioritize the employees. If Adelanto School District wants to be a model of educational excellence, you have to start by prioritizing your staff who will make you that model of educational excellence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
We have one more. The board calls Lisa S.
Good evening, folks. Thanks again for letting me speak. This speech is not aimed at all of you, but it is aimed at some of you. I'm here to talk straight, and let me tell you, some public servants are running our schools like a hog in a hardware store, making a mess and breaking everything. We got kids acting wilder than a sack of bobcats. Funds disappearing faster than a biscuit at a church supper. And districts heading for the ditch like a mule with no reins. This ain't just a problem, it's a dadgum disgrace, and it's time we roll up our sleeves and fix it with some good old common sense. First, letting bad behavior run rampant in our schools is like dancing with a skunk. You're gonna regret it. And everybody's gonna smell it. Kids acting up, disrupting class, needing a firm hand and a kind heart, not a blind eye. We ain't doing them favors by letting them run loose like chickens in a thunderstorm. We know that what they need, and why are we paying for someone who doesn't even know our kids to do that? Public servants gotta step up, guide these young and right, and keep our classrooms calmer than a pond at dusk. Second, mismanaging funds is like trying to bail a boat with a colander. It's dumb, and it doesn't work. These dollars are for our kids, books, chalkboards, teachers, not for wasting like a politician's promise in an election year. Some folks handle money so bad you think they're playing poker with a blindfold on, or buying 5 electric buses without charging stations. We need leaders who'll pinch every penny till it hollers, yet pay employees what they're worth, and keeping things clearer than a bell on a bluebird day. And finally, when we ignore this mess, bad behavior, bad budgets, we're plowing our district straight into the ground, leaving them flatter than a fritter. A broke district can't teach a lick, can't spark a dream, can't lift a single soul. Our kids deserve schools that stand tall, not ones crumbling like a cornbread castle. We gotta be shepherds, not snake oil salesmen, building systems sturdier than a live oak. So let's quit spinning our wheels like a tractor in a mud hole. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. Let's care enough to demand better, discipline with grit, budgets with brains, and districts with backbone. Join me, and we'll turn our schools into places where every kid can shine brighter than a new dime. Thank you.
Madam President, the board calls on Jennifer Rader.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. Before I get started, I'd like to clarify, just for the record, Ms. Jolly wanted me to clarify that the Beyond the Bell program is currently being paid at per diem rates, but we've been told that in the future it will be hourly. Just to clarify that point and make sure it's on the record. Okay, so here to talk about summer school STEM program. I've had some concerns brought to me from teachers, and I'm just sharing the perspectives that I've brought that are being brought to me. For the summer school program, the enrichment program, highly qualified credentialed teachers were given the assignment to be the STEM teachers. Every summer school teacher received a STEM kit with many lessons that the STEM teacher could work with to do lessons, and these kits have been untouched. In addition, the STEM teachers had prepared lessons which would not be used, because when they showed up to teach, they were told that they were being replaced with the Millionaire Minds. Contrary to what they might say, this is not a team effort. Millionaire Minds completely took over. They hijacked the summer school STEM program. The young adults doing the robotic lessons are exactly that, young and without experience to handle difficult situations and discipline. They do their best, but they do not replace the highly qualified teachers who know the students and have the skills to manage the classroom and teach a great lesson. This was an insult to the teachers who were given this assignment. We are just sitting back and watching and not given the opportunity to do the job they were assigned to do. The Millionaire Minds employees are heavily supervised and managed by their administration and did not need a credentialed teacher overseeing their program, which is what they were told, our teachers were told to do. The program should not be replacing a teacher who is extremely knowledgeable in the STEM lessons and activities. And now we've learned that this organization is receiving $1 million for this summer. Unbelievable. This is fiscally irresponsible. Why are we outsourcing when our teachers are more than capable and willing to take on these extra jobs? We want to be given these opportunities, and Millionaire Minds needs to find other ways to involve our children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, that concludes tonight's speakers.
Okay, so we're going on to 6, recess to closed session. I need a motion to go to closed session.
Webster, I motion to close.
And I need a second.
Kraus, I'll second.
Okay, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, aye.
Trustee LaFrench?
French, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. The time is 7:15. Okay. We are now on seven, reconvene to open session. Please take roll.
Trustee Soto,
And so do I.
Trustee
Or
Kraus.
here, sorry.
Trustee,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I missed
Kraus present.
Trustee Webster,
Webster present.
Trustee La French,
French present.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart here. The time is now 7:57. I think that's the shortest closed session we've done. Okay, going on to 8 closed session report. 8.01 an announcement of portable actions taken during closed session. In the OAH case, 2025030519. It was motioned by Trustee Webster and seconded by Trustee Kraus to accept the agreement, the settlement, and that passed with a vote of 5-0. And then for the case 2025040188, it was motioned by Trustee Webster and seconded by Trustee Kraus to accept the settlement of the OAH case, and that passed with a 5-0 vote. Okay. All right. So now we are going to 9 public testimony. Do we have any speakers?
We do have someone on Zoom, Cassandra Woods.
Okay.
Madam President, I don't see anyone with the name Cassandra Woods on Zoom. And the waiting room is available, but I don't see anyone.
Okay. Then we will go on to 10. Adoption of the minutes. 10.01 board minutes. Approve as written and order filled regular board meeting minutes of Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. I need a motion to approve.
Webster, I motion to approve.
Love French, I second.
Sorry, it was my alarm. Okay, Webster. Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee La French,
Love French, I.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, going on to 11, consent agenda. We are taking items 11.02 through 11.58. Does any trustee want to pull an item?
Yes, can I pull 11.13 and 11.56?
Okay, is there anyone else?
Yes, Madam President, 11.25. And that's all at this time. Thank you.
Anyone else? None from Sword? No?
I have none.
Okay. All right. So, we are approving 11.02 through 11.58. minus 11.13, 11.25, and 11.56. Do I have a motion to approve?
Webster, I motion to approve the consent agenda with the exclusion of 1113, 1125, and 1156.
Okay, we need a second.
French, I second.
Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, I.
Trustee La French? La French, aye. Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, so now we go on to 11.13. I need a motion to approve.
La French, I motion to approve.
I need a second. Stewart, I second. We're open for discussion. No discussion?
I'll just make a quick comment. There were some comments that were made that are important to me and would like to get some more answers on. That's the only comment I'd like to make.
Do you want to ask a question or no? Okay. All right, let's call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
Soto abstain for lack of information.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, nay.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, nay.
Trustee La French?
La French, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. It dies. Okay, going on to
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
excuse me, may I
Yeah, go
ask
ahead.
a question? So, Trustee Soto, you said you abstained because of lack of information. What information would you like to know? I want to respond to the lack of knowledge, but I don't know what to respond to. What questions do you have or did you have?
I can definitely reach out after the meeting to ask these type of questions, but these questions were brought up by the public, and I just wanted to get some clarity. But I'll follow up in an email to be more specific. Some of the concerns that were brought up were specific to teachers, and that's where I'm abstaining on because I don't have all the information to that. I come in when I vote and I take in information as it comes in. I don't commit to a vote until all information is there, and I'm currently lacking that information.
Okay, so I know that the reason the price has gone up is because it's expanded to more schools, and they are expanding it to more students. Am I correct?
That is correct. In addition to that, when we talk about funding and being able to pay for teachers, the funds that are being used for Millionaire Minds is restricted funds, which cannot be used to pay for teachers to do this work. Dr. Joyzon, do you want to add anything to that?
Please, yes.
In addition, our after-school service providers also follow a stringent amount of guidelines and paperwork and accountability that we must have in accordance with the state. So that includes Millionaire Mind Kids and AYA as well.
In addition to that, I know that in the past there was over $6 million of ELAP funds that went back because they were not used and because they are restricted. I would hate to see something like that happen again when we are making strides and efforts to provide the appropriate supports to after school and programs that, again, we are limited with what we can use for teachers that are already in our district versus outside agencies. just to be clear. Thank you.
Well, it appears the vote stays, so the item dies. Sorry for that school. Okay, here we go. On to 11:25. Approval of the renewal of the Action Youth America Memorandum of Understanding for the 2025-2026 school year. I need a motion to approve.
Kraus, I motion to approve.
I need a second.
Love French, I second.
We're open for discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I wanted to get some clarification on this item. It's $6.4 million to be potentially awarded to AYA. In the past, in 2023, we did an RFP where there were several organizations that competed with AYA for the after-school program. There was an RFP that was done, and there was a selection process. Since that time, last year it was just presented as an MOU for about $3 million, and then this year it's before us without a RFP again. So my question is, do we have to do an RFP like we did 2 years ago, or are we allowed by law to just continue to grant it to one organization without any competition from other after-school programs? And that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. This particular contract for AYA is for before school and after school programs. We did do the RFP for before school this past year, so they're still under the RFP guidelines. And as far as after school, they're still also within that timeline where we did the RFP. They're allotted up to 3 years for the RFP. So both are covered under the RFP process and will go back out to bid next year.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Dwyzon, for that clarification. That's all I have, Madam President.
I just want to say that for a long time in this district, we did not have before school and after school care. There are a lot of parents that are depending on before and after school care. If you don't have children right now in the school district, you may not understand how important it is to be able to go to work and have your child in a safe place in the morning and in the afternoon, being able to receive food, being able to have transportation, being able to have, their suppers in the evening. So I know that AYA comes before us during board meetings. They have cheerleading. They have all different programs that they offer for our children. And I am just saying that the importance for families that need that care, or for children to be in a safe environment after school and before school than walking around our communities by themselves. That's all I have to say on that.
All right, let's call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
Soto, aye.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, aye.
Trustee LaFrench?
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, on to 13 new business. 13.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost track. Where am I? Thank you. Okay, 11.56, business services, fiscal services, approval of the purchase order, report listing, and warrant report listing. I need a motion to approve.
Love French, I motion to approve.
I need a second.
Soto, second.
Okay, we're open for discussion.
Yes, I pulled this item because I had a few questions pertaining to what was on there. For starters, page 1 of our warrant report, line 1, we have a U.S. Bank Cal card, but we have no identification as to who that may be for quite a large sum, and I just was hoping somebody could shed light on that.
Thank you. At this time, Ms. Gonzalez.
Hi, thank you, Trustee Webster. That's a really good question. In our purchasing department, we have several Cal cards, some that are available for checkout. So that particular card that you see there would be one of those items that are typically available for checkout, and that amount would be any number of individuals that are reconciled and have checked out that card within the month.
Okay. So we have.
Give some specific examples of actually who used that card, please.
For the specific examples, I would have to pull the reconciliation for that particular item. However, when individuals check out that card, it's typically for their conference registration, sometimes hotels, food, and those items.
Okay. On page 2 of the warrant listing as well, line 50, we have revolving cash fund, and then it just says revolving cash, and it's about $1,500. Could we get some light shedded on that as well?
Yes, so our revolving cash fund is the fund in which we have, and if there are any reimbursements that need to be processed according to like our CSE contract, if an individual needs a reimbursement because there was a payroll error, sometimes we issue it out of there. If there's an immediate payment that needs to be paid and we know that it would be held up, then we potentially would issue it out of there, as well as any book refunds due to parents.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Now, jumping over to our purchase order report, just a few more questions. Sorry. For the third from the bottom, it just has CALSA Academic Services and Conference Registration. Can we shed a little light? Usually I see a name or an employee next to it.
Yes, that is the conference registration for Dr. V.
Okay, perfect. And then last question, we've got Valley Media Inc. for the superintendent, and then Valley Media Inc. magazine for $1,500. Can I get some light shed on that as well?
Yes, that's actually an article within a Valley Media Inc. magazine.
Okay. Will the board be getting a copy of this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, nay.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, aye.
Trustee LaFrench?
LaFrench, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 4-1. Okay, now we can go on to new business. 13.01, trustees, I need a motion to approve the 2025-2026 local control and accountability plan and the 2025-2026 federal addendum.
Webster, I motion to approve 25-26 local control and accountability plan and the 25-26 federal addendum.
LaFrench, I second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, aye.
Trustee LaFrench?
LaFrench, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. 13.02, trustees, I need a motion to approve the 2025-2026 school plans for student achievement. Can I get a motion?
Webster, I motion to approve the 25-26 school plans for student achievement.
Can I get a second?
LaFrench, I second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee La French,
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to 13.04. Trustees, did I skip 03? I did. Third, 13.03, trustees, I need a motion to approve the 2025-2026 consolidated application.
Webster, I motion to approve 25-26 consolidated application.
I need a second.
Love French, I second.
Any discussion?
Look at you being my partner in crime.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee La French,
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. 13.04, trustees, I need a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2025-2026 adopted budget.
Webster, I motion to adopt the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget.
Love French, I second.
Okay. Any discussion? No. Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee La French,
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. 13.05, trustees, I need a motion to approve the structure lease agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC by AT&T Mobility Corporation to install a cell tower structure at Mesa Linda Middle School for a communication facility.
Trustee Webster, I motion to approve the structure lease agreement with Singular Wireless.
Okay, I need a second.
French, I second.
French. Any discussion?
Can we just take a moment and have Dr. Walker speak to this a little bit for the public's knowledge?
Thank you, Trustee Webster. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Trustee Webster. That's an excellent question. This cellular tower was actually previously approved by the board, I believe back in 2014. I could be wrong on the exact date. And so in that time, they had actually never constructed the structure that would be approved to sit on the Mesa Linda campus, and so they were bringing it back, and so with that we made modifications, and so that's what this is modifications to that agreement which had already been approved.
Perfect. And then this will in no way, shape, or form take away from our students' campus and their areas, correct?
At this time, no, it will not.
Thank you.
Okay, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee La French,
Love French, aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. 13.06, trustees, I need a motion to approve resolution numbers 24, 25, 25, 24, 25, 26, 24, 25, 27, 24, 25, 28, 24, 25, 29, and 24, 25, 31 to authorize and provide for the levying of special taxes within the district.
For the sake of time, Webster, I motion to approve.
Love French, I second.
We are open for discussion. Hearing none, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, I.
Trustee La French?
La French, I.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Third, 13.07. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Adelanto Elementary School District and Oro Grande School District to pay a service fee of 3%.
Webster, I motion to approve the MOU between Adelanto and Oro Grande School Districts to pay the service fee.
I need a
French, I
second.
second. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, we're open for discussion.
Yeah, could we get a little enlightenment on this for our public?
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Maybe share a little bit of information.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Webster. That's an excellent question. At the last board meeting, we had approved the MOU with allowing Mojave River Academy Schools, which is authorized by the Oro Grande School District, to operate their facility, to continue to operate their facility within our district bounds. This MOU here actually recoups some of the ADA and allowing them to continue to use the facility within our district bounds.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, I.
Trustee La French?
La French, I.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. 13.08. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the Director of Information Technology job description.
Webster, I motion to approve the Director of Information Technology job description.
I need a second.
French, I second.
We are open for discussion.
I just want to make a quick comment. I want to thank Cabinet for bringing this ahead to us, as I know our technology department has had some issues in the last few years, and I believe this will really help solidify our foundation for internet services and then also access to the computers and everything. So thank you very much.
Okay, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, I.
Trustee La French?
La French, I.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. The motion passes 5-0. 13.09. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the job description and the creation for the position of Director of Expanded Learning Opportunities Program.
Webster, I motion to approve the job description and creation of the position of Director of Expanded Learning Opportunities Program.
I need a second.
La French, I second.
We are open for discussion.
I had a few questions pertaining to this agenda item, specifically how it states that this will be supported through the ELOP funding. My understanding is the ELOP funding is a grant, which means eventually it does run out. What are our plans to support this position long term if the money's not a guarantee every year?
Thank you for that question. We will, I'll turn it over to Dr. Dwyzon.
Thank you. That's a very good question. When we post questions that are contingent on grants, we do put a stipulation on there that says contingent upon funding. And so that protects us in the event that we do need to downsize, where, it's not going to impact our general budget.
Okay. And just for public, I know a lot of people are asking, we just hired a coordinator and now we're creating a director position. Can we go ahead and shed some light on the need for both of these individuals?
Thank you very much. So this program, it literally takes an army. We just last year we added over 85 plus clubs to our campuses. You add that in addition to the after-school programs that are currently in place. That's across 14 campuses. So the workload for compliance, the workload for monitoring, the workload for answering all grants, expenditures, reporting, quality reporting to CDE. In addition, we want to expand this. So we want to make sure that our students have opportunities above and beyond. So that's high quality programming, logistical planning, scheduling, taking inventory of items that we order. All of that needs to be accounted for. And it really, literally takes almost an army to do.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation.
I have a question. Dr. DeWison, is this an area that we fell short in before?
This is an area that we fell short in before with our after-school programming, and we want to make sure we maximize every single dollar.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto?
So do I.
Trustee Kraus?
Kraus, nay.
Trustee Webster?
Webster, aye.
Trustee LaFrench?
LaFrench, aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 4-1. Okay, we move on to 13.10. Trustees, I need a motion to approve the learner centered collaborative proposal for year 2 guiding coalition.
I motion to approve.
And I need a second. Stewart, I second. We're open for discussion.
I just want to share that my experience on the coalition committee has been a privilege. I was so humbled to be a part of it. I learned a lot. I'm so honored to have had a learner-centered collaborative to be a part of our district, to partner up and to help us set up the foundation for the district. So I'm just wanted to share those comments. At this time, I would like to revisit this in the future.
Okay. I just want to say that, the district and the community have put a lot of work into this all ready, and I'm excited to see what comes next, so that they see their work come to fruition. And hopefully when the days come for the next meetings, hopefully I can go. It depends on work. Okay, please call.
I like to say one thing before.
Go
Right.
ahead.
I just want to say that to have Mesa Linda on the map in order to be able to assist. I know that my middle child went to Mesa Linda, and I know that over the years, Mesa Linda gets a bad rap. And to have someone to come in and be able to have a focus point on Mesa Linda and Mesa Linda's team in order to help support them. I know that sometimes we feel as if that we can do it from within. I want to say there's been plenty of years that have gone by since I've been in the high desert, and we haven't been successful. So I would hope that someone coming in and giving a focal point to Mesa Linda would be supported.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add a little bit more color to some of the work around Mesa Linda, one of the things we did was met with the principal to talk about what that would look like as far as the rebranding, changing the image of how Mesa Linda is seen. They're using their equity multiplier funds in order to do this. So it's not any funds that will be coming from out of the general fund of any sort to move learner-centered collaborative forward with our district.
All right, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Soto, nay.
Trustee Kraus,
Kraus, nay.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, nay.
Trustee La French,
Left French, aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion fails. 3-2. Let's go on to 14, Governing Board members' reports and announcements. We'll start with Trustee Kraus.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, members of the community, everyone out there listening to us this evening. I first want to say thank you for our partners with ADTA and CSCA coming to our board meetings and advocating on behalf of their constituents. They are also our constituents. We hear you, and it is my hope that we can come to a settlement sooner than later. So again, thank you to those of you that come to advocate on behalf of your respective employees within the district. I want to thank all of our parents and teachers and staff, families for a great summer school. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I was excited to see that there was a great participation in our summer school programs, and hope that we can continue this summer after summer. Next, I'd like to say that a lot of times we say thank you to people, but we never really say much more than just thank you. And they may not truly understand why we are thanking them. So tonight and moving forward, I will continue to thank people for the work that they do, but I just wanted to expand a little bit upon each time I say thank you to somebody. So this evening, I want to say thank you and express my full confidence in my fellow trustee, Stephanie Webster, and to acknowledge the resilience and dedication and unwavering commitment she has demonstrated in service to our community over the past few years since being on this board and representing Area 5. Trustee Webster has faced tremendous personal and professional challenges, yet throughout it all, she has continued to show up for our students, advocate for families, and stand firm in her belief in equitable and quality education for all. Trustee Webster is not only a knowledgeable leader, but a compassionate one. Her understanding of education and her deep understanding of the needs of schools, teachers, and students have been invaluable to the decisions she makes as a board member. She consistently asks the hard questions, pushes for accountability, and ensures that student well-being and academic achievement remain at the forefront of the district's priorities. What sets her apart is her courage and heart. She listens, she leads with integrity, and she never loses sight of why she serves: to make schools better for every child in our district. In a time when strength and empathy are both needed, she embodies both. So again, without just saying thank you, I wanted to say thank you, and those are some of the reasons why I thank my fellow trustee, Stephanie Webster, this evening. Next, I just want to say I hope that everyone has a great summer and a happy 4th of July coming up. And then also to my fellow trustees, safe travels, and to also staff from George. They will be going to Washington, D.C. for the Schools to Watch. So again, congratulations to all of the staff at George, students, families, and staff, and safe travels to my fellow trustees. And with that, that concludes my comments, Madam President. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Webster.
Thank you, Trustee Kraus. All right. I have been asked quite a few times recently why I do what I do, and the obvious answer is for the kids. It's supposed to be for the kids. Far too often, I feel we adults forget the struggles and tribulations that we all had to go through to become the adults we are today. Socially, we are expected to grow. Physically and mentally, we had to grow, all while still academically growing. Life often hands all of us curveballs, ones we never expect to happen. And far too often, we sit facing adversity feeling alone. I sit on this dais not for some political gain, not for clout, not for respect, and not for some big payday. My reasons for sitting here are to represent those who deserve a voice for their future. Someone who is passionate about giving students the opportunity to achieve whatever their dream is. Growing up on Northside Adelanto, daughter of a simple mechanic, I don't come from sorts of money. I didn't come from a two-parent household. I didn't have a parent who helped me with my homework or picked me up off the bus. And believe it or not, I grew up with friends who had it way worse in different situations. But no matter where you come from, what has happened in the past, the true lesson is learning you literally can grow into anything. Students learn so much from our school district, not just math, English, and science, but they mature into young adults. They develop opinions for themselves, and most importantly, they develop mindset. It is our job to prove to them anything is possible. Support them, encourage them, expose them to new experiences. Test scores and programs that reflect the knowledge one possesses are so very contradictory to the reality of the individual student. In order to flourish, it starts with AESD staff, management, and the Board of Trustees. It starts with kindness and understanding, olive branches and second chances. It starts when we start communicating, we start collaborating on creative ideas, and when we make it a requirement to celebrate those achievements. It starts when we stop beginning with judgment and start leading with faith. It starts when all student and employee voices are heard at the table, listened to, and accounted for. Our district has been on eggshells for far too long, divided and ignored. It deserves a break from unknowing and unpredictable situations. We are not a corporation, but for years I have heard of a family. And I truly believe that we are family, and I hope soon we can start acting like one again. We took great steps last year to include people, and I hope we continue this upcoming year. I'm committed to this position to prioritize that our students are not only encouraged to become what they desire, but to provide access points to develop their futures. Build the connections that ensure them with the confidence and courage to flourish no matter what your background may be. I'm committed to creating a workplace where employees feel confident and supported. They often say employees don't leave bad jobs, but dysfunctional workplaces. I never thought I would have the opportunity, nor did I ever imagine I would be sitting amongst my fellow colleagues, representing so many. I promise to continue to fight for all of our students of AESD and represent Area 5 with passion and commitment. Thank you all for being with us tonight, and those going back to watch, thank you for your support. We, the trustees, represent everyone, so please feel free to voice. Please don't feel your voice is not important. I hope everyone who is still here with us tonight drives safe and has a great summer vacation.
Trustee LaFrench.
Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. I'm a little heartbroken that my hope for Mesa Linda to get extra or support and guidance and a plan of their own that was tailored just for them. When I think about the children, the community, the teachers that spoke about the program that they have participated in, the surveys, sometimes people feel as if when they voice their opinions, that their opinions are heard. And I don't feel like those voices that came from those children were actually heard and moved forward. I wish that Mesa Linda's children would have the opportunity to experience what other children were able to experience, and their teachers over at Mesa Linda, as well as the whole staff over there at Mesa Linda. With that being said, collaboration. Well, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Trustee Soto?
I was gonna make a joke, but too tired for that. Collaborate, and listen. Right? We got to do that with each other. But but I just wanted to echo some of the sentiments and the speech that was given by my colleagues. I've always, I don't have a speech, so I'm just going to speak based on how it went today. I think today went very well. Um, we all have different opinions and we all have different perspectives and different views, and that's okay. That's what makes the world go round. We all have different visions on how we want to move our district forward. As you heard from one of our trustees, she's very passionate. So we as a board are very passionate. And so I guess I don't want to ramble on too much, but I just want to thank my colleagues, all four of you, for putting in effort. I know the situation that we're in currently is not easy for us, the dynamic that we're in, but I do appreciate and I'm here to support all four of you and the district as well, or superintendent in any capacity that I can. And I just value um, our ability to at least talk to each other. So I'm just going to leave it at that, at the collaboration and, willingness to listen to each other. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's my turn. I am saddened that Millionaire Minds kids will not be able to expand. Hopefully it can come back, but I doubt it. We had seen good things from them in the past, and all of a sudden, I don't know, it just seems to be an issue. Some people just don't like it, and with the learning with the guided coalition. So, am I to understand that all that work throughout the year that the community took part in, the parents, the students, the teachers, certificated, classified, it's done. It's done. Is that correct?
I believe we have a strategic plan. And with that strategic plan, the efforts that LCC would be doing is has not been approved to date, which means that we have to find other ways of bringing all this to fruition without um, getting some key components directly from LCC that will be helping to facilitate some of that. Those are things that we would have to take on ourselves and come up with without using some of the strategies that they would otherwise be providing to us. And the work that they were doing with Mesa Linda was distinctly for Mesa Linda. The summer program that we had scheduled for PBL for the teachers to get the training, none of that will happen. Even though there are over 66 teachers signed up, that will not happen. So those are the things that we cannot do that is a dead stop, which again pushes that 5-year plan because now we have to.
You got to make this up now on
Yes.
your own.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I was hoping we could see it through, but it is what it is. As a teacher of over 10 years and as a parent of now adult children, which is weird because they are adults, they're not children. I think there should be a new word. I have learned as a parent and a teacher that kids, your actions speak louder than your words. Kids know, they see through the words because they're just words, it's just noise. In actions, they show the truth. I have been on this board now for 8 years. I came in here not knowing a thing, and I've learned a lot. But my goal has always been true, is that the kids in our district deserve the best. They deserve it. And that has never changed. You know, you hate me, that's okay. You don't like me, that's okay. As long as the work gets done. You know, does that turn me into a tyrant? I don't know. That's not the first time I've heard that. But the main thing is words are words, and the actions show true. The actions are truer than the words. So hopefully we can get through this. And that's all I have to say. We go on to 15, superintendent reports and announcements.
Thank you, President Stewart. Good evening, trustees, executive cabinet, AESD staff, students, and community. As we wrap up, I would say an incredible year, 24-25 school year. I want to express my sincere gratitude to our students, to the staff, the families, and the community partners. Your commitment, resilience, and unity continue to define who we are. Looking ahead, I am still excited to share that next year we will officially launch our framework for the future under the guided theme of Thrive 2030, big, bold, and brave together. My cabinet and I are honored to serve as the bridge, helping move this vision forward and turning our collective hopes into real, lasting change. We're not just leading a plan, we're building a future for AESD, a future where every student thrives, every staff member is supported, and every voice in our community matters. I send a special thank you for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Coordinator and our Director of Special Ed. Your dedication and leadership in having helped enrich and expand our opportunities for our students this summer is commendable. Thank you for that. As summer begins, I encourage everyone to rest, recharge, and reconnect. Don't forget that our community pool is going to be open, effective next week. So, this is a great way for our families to enjoy the season together. Come out, take a swim. We'll see you all at the end of July, ready to engage, elevate, and lead. Big, bold, brave together as we shape the future for AESD. I leave you with this quote: a dream that you may dream alone is only a dream. A dream that you dream together is reality. By John Lennon. Enjoy your summer. Thank you for being part of this remarkable journey. It's only the beginning. And with that, I have a short video. Even when school is out, the learning continues. School may be on break, but our district is more active than ever. Through Summer Splash, enrichment programs, and free meals served daily to all kids and teens, we're keeping minds active and bodies nourished all summer long. While students explore, create, and connect, our leadership teams are also hard at work, planning, training, and preparing for the year ahead. Because progress doesn't pause, and in our district, summer isn't downtime, it's build time.
Okay, going on to 16, adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn.
Webster, I motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
French, I second.
The French seconds. Please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto.
So do I.
Trustee Kraus.
Kraus, aye.
Trustee Webster.
Webster, I.
Trustee La French.
French, I.
Trustee Stewart.
Stewart, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Madam President, the time is 8:51 p.m.
And thank you.